Hello and welcome back to the shop. I'm Dave Klenk. In this episode we're going to be gluing up the lid to the box and the four corners of the box itself. Here are the pieces, and I want to show real quick what I'll be doing is putting some Gates glue release on the panel, and I'll be gluing up the mortise and tenons with Titebond 3. To do the glue release, I just put this on the tongue and work in the edges just at the corners where they'll be close to the glue. You can paraffin, but the Bates glue release works really well. With the glue, I start by putting glue in the mortises. Brushing it in, getting some on the edges. And doing the tenons. Open this up a little bit. And since gluing it up, I use pieces of masonite that are about 1/16 of an inch or a couple millimeters taller than the wood that is getting glued up. That keeps the clamps from hitting the wood. And that's it. I'll let that sit overnight, and now we'll get started on the box. This is how I glue up a dovetailed jewelry box. I start by having already put the Bates glue release on the bottom corners of the bottom panel. I have everything laid out. I've got my glue. I've got a hammer to tap things, not hard but gently. I've got the clamping cauls, and I'm ready to go. So I'm just going to move through this the best I can and then do maybe a debriefing once it's all in the clamps. Off camera, I have, these are like stands to put the box on so the clamps work. And over here, just off to the side, I've got a bunch of clamps ready to go. So here we go. The goal is to get a good dovetailed glue up, all put together, all in frame. I also have a little bit of water for the brush in here. I'm going to start in this back corner. I'm going to put the glue on the sides first and then put this corner together. I put the glue mostly up here and then I brush it into the cavities. I have to move as quickly as I can, at the same time making sure that I get glue in all the places that glue needs to be. So then I do in here. And then on the backs of the pins, miters, and I get it in place. I'm just going to get it started, and then I'm going to get this one going. So you have those started. Get the bottom panel in place. Glue. Now glue in here. I'm getting good fit, should squeeze out, and now I'm going to start clamping it. I do that with clamping calls on the insides. Lacer that goes on the inside to make sure everything stays square. I'm going to put that up on a couple of blocks. And I'm going to start clamping. First, I'm clamping the sides tight. I let that sit for a few minutes, and then I clamp it front to back. Try to get these as close as I can to the ends of the dovetails. Still open on the bottom, so I am going to try to lift it up if I can do it without losing the spacer and get these underneath it. And then we're going to get some clamps on the bottom. Okay, this is tricky. I'm going to try to show this. So the plug inside is just a little bit undersized, and I'm going to use putty knives as shims to make sure that everything in the the space that the box is square because of the plug on the inside. On the outside, I'm clamping up, I'm getting squeeze out, but there's a little bit of a bow in the middle. So now I'm going to use other clamps to pull that together. And you can see that on both sides. They've got pretty good squeeze out. Now I'm going to flip it around and do the back side. It's just a tiny bit out of square, so I'm just going to see if I can't put it right. There we go. Putty knives act as shins to help the box get aligned. For 15 minutes, then we're going to change the cauls and the clamps and pull the front and back into the shoulders of the sides. I'm back. I'm going to take the clamps off and turn them 90 degrees. And now we're clamping this way. I'm going to show you the inside. The plug, I have a putty knife there so that when the clamps pull the corners together, the inside surface of the boxes isn't concave. So I know the box is square because the plug is square. And I know the joints are together. Hard to see inside here, but they looked pretty good. And we'll let that sit for about an hour, and then we'll sand the pins flush. Okay, it's been about an hour. I'm going to pull it out of the clamps and show you how I deal with the pins. I'm going to show the inside real quick. I have some pieces MDF mounted to the table. Don't want the plug so tight that you can't get it out. So that's why I leave a little space. I fill the space with the putty marks. Okay, I'm going to show you the conditions of the dovetail corners, and then I use a belt sander to fill in the tiny little gaps. I use a belt sander. I use a piece of used sandpaper, and what I'm doing is pulling the fibers of these exposed end parts into any small gaps. Let me show you that quick. So you can see the edge is starting to get real snug. And I just keep doing that. After the belt sander, I use just hand sanding blocks. I'll do the other side. And then I do the same thing for the sides. I just use a different piece of wood. This is what it looks like beforehand. And now I'll sand it. That's pretty much it. And it's just hand sanding from here. Here's the box after it's had some sanding done to it. Just want to show with some denatured alcohol. And the next step is to get the lid fitted. So I'll be trimming that down. To trim it down, I start with a piece of masonite as a template because I don't want to see any gaps. And if the masonite fits in flexing a little bit, then I know it's just a tiny bit too long, either wide or long. And I do the width first, then I cut it to length. I shave the edges on a little bevel with a hand plane. And once it starts to slide into the pocket, I square up that bevel that I cut with the hand plane, again with the hand plane, to get a nice snug fit. And that's what I'll be doing now. You can see I just have it started, and I just have to shave the front edge down a little bit. And I'm going to show doing that with a hand plane right here at this bench. The way I shave the edge is I just have a couple of clamps here. Put this in place. I make that bevel and then test fit it. Still a little bit wide. I'm going to just keep going. Okay, I have it shaved to fit. It feels pretty good. I haven't put it all the way home yet because I won't be able to get it out. So I'm going to add the glue into the rabbet and onto the edge and get it glued up. that looks good. It's going to sit for a couple of days, and then we'll cut the box open. Thank you for watching.